The 1980s were a golden era for rock, packed with legendary bands, but not every group got their due. Some were ahead of their time, others suffered from bad industry decisions, and some simply vanished. Let's uncover 10 forgotten 80s rock bands that had the talent, but unfortunately disappeared without a trace. If you've never heard of Shark Island, you're not alone, but you've definitely seen their influence. Frontman Richard Black was one of the most electrifying performers on the Sunset Strip in the early 80s, and his stage presence directly influenced Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses. Their 1989 album Law of the Order showcased their high-energy, sleazy hard rock sound. Tracks like Paris Calling and Bad for Each Other had all the makings of major hits, but despite their talent, Shark Island suffered from poor promotion and bad timing. Signed to Epic Records, they should have taken off, but grunge was already looming on the horizon. Without major label support, they faded into obscurity, even though their style laid the groundwork for later glam metal acts. If you're a fan of bands like Guns N' Roses and Faster Pussycat, Shark Island deserves a spot on your playlist. If you grew up in the 80s, you might remember Lion, even if you don't recognize the name. This hard rock band is best known for recording the iconic theme song for Transformers, the movie, a track packed with soaring vocals and blistering guitar work. Formed in Los Angeles, Lion had all the right ingredients for success. Their 1987 album Dangerous Attraction featured Doug Aldrich on guitar, a player who would later make a name for himself with Dio and Whitesnake. Songs like Power Love and Fatal Attraction blended the powerful anthemic sound of bands like Dokken and Scorpions, so why did they vanish? Despite their talent, they never got a major breakthrough. They lacked big promotional backing, and after one more album, Trouble in Angel City, they quietly disbanded. Lion may not have roared onto the mainstream charts, but their melodic metal legacy still deserves a listen today. Seattle is mostly known for birthing the grunge movement, but before that, the city had its fair share of hard rock and metal. One of its most overlooked bands was Q5, a group that blended melodic hooks with heavy metal grit. Their 1984 debut album, Steal the Light, was packed with anthems that should have made them household names. Songs like Lonely Lady and Pull the Trigger had the intensity of Judas Priest combined with the melody of early Def Leppard. The album was well received in underground rock circles, but Q5 never got the industry push they needed. Their 1985 follow-up, When the Mirror Cracks, shifted toward a more commercial sound, but instead of broadening their audience, it alienated their core fans. With record label issues and internal struggles, Q5 disbanded before they ever had a real chance to shine. For those who love classic heavy metal with big melodies, Q5 is a hidden gem worth rediscovering. This new rock channel is also a hidden gem waiting to be discovered, and you can help me by getting this channel to 1,000 subscribers so my new rock videos will not be overlooked. Let's continue with a band that was unfortunately one of the most overlooked hard rock bands of the late 80s. Baton Rouge was formed in Louisiana before relocating to Los Angeles. They blended powerful vocals, bluesy guitar work, and soaring melodies that put them in the same league as Tesla and Cinderella. Their 1989 debut album, Shake Your Soul, was produced by Jack Ponti, who had worked with Bon Jovi. Songs like Walks Like a Woman and Doctor showcased a polished, melodic hard rock sound with killer riffs and big choruses. Despite their strong songwriting and high-energy performances, they struggled to stand out in a crowded rock scene. Their follow-up album, Lights Out on the Playground, was released in 1991, but by then the rise of grunge had started to wipe out bands of their style. Without major radio support, Baton Rouge faded into obscurity. For fans of bluesy hard rock with arena-ready hooks, Baton Rouge remains a forgotten gem of the late 80s. Hailing from Canada, Kick-Axe was a hard rock band that had the talent and firepower to become huge, but never got the break they needed. They combined anthemic choruses, sharp guitar work, and melodic hooks, making them a band that should have been as big as Quiet Riot or Rat. Their debut album, Vices, was released in 1984 and had all the elements of a classic 80s hard rock record. Tracks like Heavy Metal Shuffle and On the Road to Rock were filled with powerful vocals, massive riffs, and arena-ready energy. Despite a strong underground following, they never broke into the mainstream. Kickaxe continued with 2 more solid albums, Welcome to the Club and Rock the World, but poor promotion and lineup changes hurt their momentum. By the late 80s, they had disappeared. For fans of big hooks and heavy-hitting rock, Kickaxe is an underrated band that deserves a second listen. One of the most underrated hard rock bands to emerge from the 80s was Black and Blue. Hailing from Portland, Oregon, they had the look, the hooks, and the energy to compete with the biggest bands of the glam metal era. Their self-titled debut album, released in 1984, was packed with high-energy rock anthems, including Hold On to 18 and School of Hard Knocks. Produced by Dieter Dierks, known for his work with Scorpions, the album had a slick, polished sound that should have made them stars. Despite their talent and a growing fan base, Black and Blue struggled to break into the mainstream. They released several more solid albums, including Nasty Nasty and In Heat, but never reached the success of bands like Rat or Motley Crue. Though they faded from the spotlight, Black and Blue's music remains a hidden gem for fans of 80s hard rock filled with massive choruses and killer guitar riffs. If any band had the potential for stardom, it was White Tiger. Formed by Mark St. John, the former Kiss guitarist, this band had all the ingredients for success: blazing guitar solos, powerful vocals, and a hard-hitting sound that fit perfectly in the mid-80s rock scene. Their 1986 self-titled debut album featured high-energy tracks like Rock Warriors and Love Hate, showcasing St. John's shredding abilities and the band's raw, aggressive edge. Fans of Dokken and Y&T would have found a lot to love in White Tiger's music. Unfortunately, the band never gained mainstream traction. Despite Mark St. John's name recognition from Kiss, White Tiger suffered from poor promotion, label struggles, and a lack of radio play. After one album, they disappeared almost as quickly as they arrived. For guitar lovers and 80s hard rock enthusiasts, White Tiger remains a forgotten gem, featuring some of the most underrated shredding of the decade. Los Angeles was overflowing with talented hard rock bands in the 80s, and Rough Cutt was one that had all the makings of a major act. With ties to Quiet Riot and Rat, they had the pedigree, the musicianship, and a powerful frontman in Paul Shortino, whose raspy, soulful vocals set them apart. Their self-titled debut album, released in 1985, was filled with anthemic rockers like Take Her and Dreamin' Again. Produced by Tom Allom, known for his work with Judas Priest, the album combined melodic hooks with hard-hitting riffs, making it a standout in the glam metal scene. Despite critical praise and a dedicated fan base, Rough Cutt never broke through commercially. A second album, Wants You, followed in 1986, but internal struggles and label issues led to their downfall. Though they vanished from the mainstream, Rough Cutt's music still holds up, offering a gritty, powerful take on 80s hard rock. Hailing from Philadelphia, Tangier was a bluesy, hard rock band that had the talent to compete with bands like Great White and Bad Company. Their sound was rooted in classic rock influences, combining soulful vocals, gritty guitar work, and big radio-friendly hooks. Their debut album, Four Winds, released in 1989, showcased anthemic tracks like On the Line and Southbound Train. Produced by Andy Johns, who had worked with Led Zeppelin, the album had a polished yet raw sound that should have propelled them to success. Despite strong songwriting and critical praise, Tangier suffered from poor promotion and bad timing. The rise of grunge in the early 90s made it difficult for blues-based hard rock to stay relevant, and they quickly faded from the spotlight after releasing Stranded in 1991. For fans of blues-driven hard rock, Tangier remains a lost treasure that deserved much more recognition. Fronted by David Reese, the powerhouse vocalist who briefly fronted Accept, Bangalore Choir had all the makings of a major hard rock band. They combined big choruses, slick production, and razor-sharp guitar work, making them a perfect fit alongside bands like Danger Danger and Taiketo. Their 1992 debut album, On Target, featured anthemic tracks like Loaded Gun and Angel in Black. Packed with radio-friendly hooks and soaring melodies, it had everything a classic early 90s rock album needed. However, their timing couldn't have been worse. By 1992, the grunge explosion was in full swing, and melodic hard rock was quickly falling out of favor. Without label support or a strong promotional push, Bangalore Choir faded almost as quickly as they arrived. While they later reunited for new material, their debut remains a hidden gem of the era, an album that could have been huge if it had been released just a few years earlier. These bands had the talent, the songs, and the potential to be massive, but fate had other plans. Whether it was bad timing, poor promotion, or industry shifts, they vanished before getting their due. But their music lives on, waiting to be rediscovered by true rock fans who appreciate hidden gems.